I was signing y'all. Alright, I got this right here. I was signing y'all. It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. And man, oh man, since I'm not home, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about this real quick. So this video is going to be way shorter than I typically do. And I'll probably get back home later on and do like a full deep dive into this with a whole bunch of stats. But I did want to announce to y'all that quarterback Marcus Mariota is re-signing with the Commanders on a 1-year deal. And of course, I'm excited, man. I mean, this is huge for the Commanders. I want to definitely explain to y'all exactly why this is a pretty big re-signing for us, even though we already have a franchise quarterback. And also want to give you a Washington Commanders cap space update while we're at it. And who's next? Maybe Dante Fowler. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated videos just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. Even when I'm not at home with all of my equipment like this one, y'all is still pulling up. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. All right, so quarterback Marcus Mariota is returning to the Washington Commanders on a 1-year, $8 million deal. And that's right about what we kind of expected. Like Spot Track kind of predicted it to be somewhere in like the $8 million range. When I did my mock off season where I was predicting like who we'd re-sign for how much, for how long, who we'd get as outside free agents, and then with the mock draft on the back end, I had Marcus Mariota somewhere around like maybe like a $7-8 million re-signing 1-year deal. A 1-year deal makes sense as well. I'm surprised that he didn't leave to go potentially compete for a starting quarterback role elsewhere. That's why I thought that he'd go take a little bit more money, but most importantly, a bigger opportunity to potentially start for a football team elsewhere, because it won't be here. We have Jayden Daniels. He's our franchise quarterback. We love him. I already feel like he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and I feel like most of y'all agree. So Marcus Mariota re-signing here already knows I am a dedicated backup. That is my role on this team. There is no realistic hope that I could potentially have any reason of starting for this team. So for him to return to the Commanders shows that he really loves what we're building here. He's probably banking on the fact that, hey, I could come back here for 1 year, maybe win a Super Bowl, and that's my best route at getting a ring at this point, especially this stage in my career. But I would definitely argue that he has a better shot of maybe going to like another NFL team, especially like the Indianapolis Colts, like we just talked about in my video last night. Right now, they have a quarterback competition between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson for who will start Week 1 for the Indianapolis Colts. From the way that things are right now, who knows, maybe they take a quarterback in the draft, but even then I don't really feel like either of these quarterbacks in the draft are like ready to start day 1. Maybe they could eventually win the quarterback competition, but right now, if you were to put Marcus Mariota on the current Colts roster, I would peg him to be the Week 1 starting quarterback for the Colts right now. He could, I mean, maybe the Colts weren't interested, especially after they just traded like draft capital to get Daniel Jones, even though it wasn't much, and then they're paying him fairly significant money. But I mean, if I'm Marcus Mariota, I'm probably looking at like the Colts for a starting opportunity. So again, for him to return to the Commanders on a 1-year deal, and we paid him pretty well. $8 million is pretty significant. I mean, like we're paying him more than we're paying Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz is going to be out there as a starting tight end compared to Marcus Mariota, who will be a backup quarterback. I know that's positional value, but that's also the value that he provides to this team with that 1-year deal. Tom Pelissero even pointed out the fact that other teams tried to lure Marcus Mariota away, but he loves Washington, and he's cool with being the backup to Jayden Daniels. He likes Jayden Daniels that much. And I mean, it's just crazy how much 1 year can change things, because when we signed him last year, like around this time last year, maybe like it was like a week later into free agency, but either way, I could admit, I was like, you know, that's cool. I can see the vision. But now this year, I'm super happy to have him back. It's a completely different emotion coming from the fact that I see a Marcus Mariota has signed a 1-year deal with the Washington Commanders this year compared to last year, man. I mean, he was huge in those games against Carolina and the Dallas Cowboys, that final game of the season. But especially that Panthers game where we blew them out like 40-7 or something like that. He was the starting quarterback for every possession in that game outside of the first one where Jayden Daniels got hurt. And then he kind of started off a little rough. And then, you know, some people starting to question, well, maybe Jeff Driscoll, Sam Hartman and stuff like that. Then he went on to have a great game, and then he was huge for us in that final game of the season against the Dallas Cowboys. And then even just on top of just the standard why you love having a good backup quarterback as like a contingency plan, there are also additional benefits that he provides to the team that I feel like, first of all, the obvious one, if we ever need a backup quarterback to play for us, he's as good of a backup as you can possibly be for Kingsbury to be able to continue running the same offense as possible with going from starter to backup. Typically, when you go from a starting quarterback to a backup quarterback, you typically have to rip out like half the playbook. Like, well, we can't run these plays. This guy doesn't have the same arm. He doesn't have the same mobility. Marcus Mariota's pretty much diet Jaden Daniels, so he can attack the field in similar ways, even intermediate routes and things like that. Maybe the biggest gap between Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota is the deep ball ability. That's probably the biggest difference. But when it comes to intermediate routes, knowing the offense, being able to get to your hot routes, your hot reads, and getting the ball out of your hands quickly, and then mobility as well. Marcus Mariota provides all of that, and again, it's a very important thing to where if for any reason we have to go to a backup quarterback, our backup quarterback can run at least the majority of the same offense, the majority of the same playbook that Cliff Kingsbury wants to run. I mean, he can pretty much keep the playbook wide open, and that doesn't give defenses, opposing defenses, any breaks or like an easy way out. Like, oh, the backup quarterback's in, now we only have to worry about these things. No, you still got to worry about all of these facets of our offense, even when a backup quarterback like Marcus Mariota were to come into the game. You know, of course, hopefully, Marcus Mariota never plays a snap for us this season, even though typically when we're in like 4th and inches situations, like when we want to do like a QB sneak, Marcus Mariota is good for that as well. That's some extra additional value that he brings to where we don't want to chance Jaden Daniels getting hurt on QB sneaks. So that's why we bring Marcus Mariota. He's a bit bigger and stronger for those things as well. So that's another benefit. Also, now don't get me wrong, he's not Jaden Daniels. But there's still again, there's a pretty significant gap between the two. But at the same time, Marcus Mariota's similar skill set to Jaden allows the entire off-season defense, like when we're 90-man roster, we're talking about training camp and things like that, to practice against mobile quarterbacks and quarterbacks that are at least diet Jaden Daniels like. Like, even when the backup offense is out there while we're practicing, the backup defense still gets very valuable reps to a Jaden Daniels-like style of quarterback when we're like Jaden Daniels is either resting or he's on another field practicing against the ones. The backup defense doesn't get a break. They're still having to deal with a mobile quarterback that Cliff Kingsbury is calling a lot of his playbook for. So that's very valuable reps right there in the offseason and practice, to where even the backups are getting meaningful reps even when they're not going against Jaden Daniels, to get ready for if they have to be a part of the rotation on Sundays, they're ready. And then also, lastly, his leadership is huge, man. I mean, I know y'all remember that clip of him motivating Jaden Daniels in that overtime game versus the Falcons, them sorry little Falcons, before Jaden Daniels threw that game winner. Jaden Daniels was completely gassed, out of breath, out of stamina, and Marcus Mariota was the one person to come over and like give him exactly what he needed to hear. And then Jaden Daniels proceeded to the very next play to throw the game-winning touchdown that also clinched the playoff spot for us. So Marcus Mariota was so huge for our team throughout the entire season. And to go back to the whole practice thing, again, even while the backup defensive players are practicing and some of those guys will end up playing as part of the rotation on Sundays, those guys were probably better prepared for opposing quarterbacks that we went against last season because Mariota was our backup. So, I mean, I'm telling you, there are so many benefits here. And again, we can't forget about the 2 games he had to come in and win for us. Like, both of those games were huge too, as far as our quest to securing a playoff spot. Like, we needed every win. And remember that Marcus Mariota from that last season won us 2 games, most notably the fact that he didn't allow, even with as great of a season as we had, getting swept by the Cowboys would have left a pretty annoying stain on that season. And Marcus Mariota prevented us from getting swept by the Cowboys. And again, every win counted, the Panthers game, the Cowboys game. So we needed every bit of one of those wins to secure the seeding that we had in the playoffs, and the rest is history. So, I mean, he had such a big impact on the team. I'm just very happy to bring him back, man. And so, cap space update wise, before we re-signed Marcus Mariota, we were 9th in cap space in the NFL with $45 million. Now he's going to probably it's like an $8 million contract. Maybe he's like a $7-8 million cap hit. That's probably going to take us down to about like maybe $37 million in cap space, which will put us down at like 13th in cap space. So that'll take us from 9th to 13th. That's still a lot of cap space to do whatever you need to do. Again, if you want to go trade for Trey Hendrickson, that's still enough money to make that happen. If that's what you really want to do. I'm not sure though. There are reports that I'm seeing, like literally as I'm recording this video right now, saying that the Bengals are still trying to get a first round pick out of teams. Apparently the Commanders and the Falcons are the teams that are the most interested, but neither of us are budgeting on a first round pick. The Falcons, I'm pretty sure, aren't willing to give that, and we're not as well. The best I would give up is our second round pick that's like 60 something overall. That's it. But either way, the main reason I'm bringing that up is that now cap space wise, even after re-signing a pivotal part of our team, even though he's a backup quarterback, he still matters more than most other teams' backup quarterbacks matter to their team. We still have enough cap space to make other moves. So now I'm questioning who's next as far as guys that need to be re-signed from the 2024 Washington Commanders. Maybe Dante Fowler. Now he does seem to be in his feelings a little bit, like with that Twitter rant that he went on about feeling disrespected by maybe the offer that Adam Peters and those guys gave him. But hey, man, that's the value that they see you at. And maybe if, hey, we're letting you test the open market, you probably would have signed by now if other teams were offering you way more. I feel like Dante Fowler may just end up coming back on a one-year deal. We'll see. Of course, I'm going to keep y'all updated on that. Whenever we hear anything, any rumors, there was a report that the Green Bay Packers were potentially interested in Dante Fowler. We'll see if they end up signing him. If they don't, maybe they're lowballing him as well. Even though I don't really like using the word lowball, because Adam Peters and this Commanders franchise set their value in whatever price tag they're willing to pay Dante Fowler, and that is what it is. I love Dante Fowler. He can rush the passer, but he's a situational pass rusher, a third down specialist. He's not a guy you want on first and second downs, and definitely not on obvious run downs. He cannot set the edge. He cannot stop the run. Dorrance Armstrong already struggles with that. We can't have two edge rushers that struggle with that. Javon Kinlaw, I feel like, will help with that. And again, I promise I'm working on that Javon Kinlaw video. That will get out to y'all as soon as possible, maybe later on tonight, because I'm watching more tape on him than I even watched on Laramie Tunsil or Will Harris, because I'm really trying to get down to the science of why that signing of Javon Kinlaw will make you happier than you think. Because I see a lot of Commanders players not only hate the signing, they're out here abandoning ship on Adam Peters like he didn't just lead us to that season that we had last year, the best jump from one season to the next second overall pick to second in the conference that we've arguably seen in NFL history, and people already abandoning the ship over him just because of one Javon Kinlaw signing, and maybe because of some of the guys that we missed, like Travarius Ward and stuff like that. But my mission in that Javon Kinlaw video that I'm working on right now with a lot of my notes and stats is to convince y'all that, hey, that signing is going to end up being better than what you think. So be on the stay tuned for that. And yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in the video. Be still from that like button, still from the subscription button, still from the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. I know this was a different style of video. I'm in the car real quick. I'm out, but I will get back home and I'll probably, I'll talk about something else, but then we'll revisit this Marcus Mariota conversation when I have a bunch of stats in front of me and things like that. So stay tuned for that. Really appreciate y'all. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. And of course, let me know in the comment section if you agree with me that Marcus Mariota is a pivotal re-signing. How do you feel about potentially Trey Hendrickson for a first round pick? I'm pretty sure most of y'all are not willing to do that, but there probably are a few of y'all that are. So let me know why. Let me know why not. Let me know how you feel about potentially Dante Fowler maybe being the next re-signing. If it's not Dante Fowler, who do you predict the Commanders to re-sign next? Really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.